Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Caroline Keneally Herschbach, and today we're having a one-on-one with a local speech pathologist. My guest today is Leslie Wegner of North Texas Voice and Speech. Leslie is a certified speech-language pathologist with the American Speech Language and Hearing Association and the Texas Speech Language and Hearing Association. She is also a singing voice teacher and accent modification coach, working with professional voices for over 15 years. Leslie lives in Allen and is an Army veteran and then the mom of 2 boys. I am so glad you're here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. So I will say, if you couldn't hear it, every now and then I get a little tongue-tied. And in fact, growing up, I actually went to speech therapy for my SHs, that sound, and I had to learn to keep the goat in the gate between my teeth.
Love that.
So, but that was a speech therapist. What is a speech pathologist? Is there a difference? Tell me more about that.
Great question, because we get called so many different things. All of those things are yes. We can be called a speech language pathologist, which is the official name. That's what I'm licensed as, but we're called the speech therapist, the speech lady, the voice doctor, swallowing person. You're that person that makes me practice anything under the sun, and we'll answer to it all. But officially, speech language pathologist.
I may stick with speech lady. I kind of
there
like
you
that.
Go for it.
So tell me, what are some of the common things that you work with kids for?
Absolutely. One of the most things that walks through my door, one of the most common things is somebody that's hoarse, a child that's hoarse. And granted, I'm a voice specialist, so I'm not seeing those with articulation disorders and phonology issues very often. That's not something that I specialize in. So I'm listening for how their voice sounds. Are they doing this? Do they sound like this? Can they not get enough power under their voice? So anybody that's got hoarse voice, nodules, chronic cough, anything that lasts longer than 2 weeks is when you come see me.
Interesting. Okay. What should be something moms are looking out for? You said 2 weeks, but what is, kids can be so picky sometimes, when is it that a mom should really start looking into coming to see you?
Yeah, like I said, if it's longer than 2 weeks, but when their voice sounds the same all the time, when it's always hoarse, when it always gets that husky sound, or if they seem like they're in the wrong register for what their age is. So sometimes when they're older, we'll see people who, when boys' voices change, sometimes they don't change. Sometimes they are, 19 and 20 years old. And I know that's a little bit out of pediatrics, but it won't have gone through that puberty stage. So we can teach them how to lower their voice and bring their larynx back into the proper position. Other things that we see kids for, which I find really fascinating because I had it myself as a child, is called vocal cord dysfunction or paradoxical vocal fold motion. And what that is when your voice box, essentially, your vocal folds shut when you're breathing in. So it sounds like asthma. You go, does that. It is very common in teenage girls. There's plenty of other people that have it, but that's where it's going to show up most often. Those type A personalities, when you get really stressed, lots of things can trigger it, like exercise, like stress, like smells, certain toxic things in your environment. And then sometimes there's no reason at all. It just shows up. And it doesn't really have a rhyme or reason.
Really? So that's something more in like that teenage years that maybe mom of teenage girls should be looking for.
Absolutely.
Interesting. What is the relationship? I mean, I imagine in my case, I would go first maybe to my pediatrician.
Great question. Yeah. So if you suspect anything wrong, definitely go see your pediatrician. That's a great place to start. I will always say not all pediatricians are created equally as informed as the other. So if you feel like, if they've said, yeah, they've checked off those lists and everything seems normal, you're fine. If you still have that nag, that mom gut feeling, like, no, this isn't fine, something's wrong, go get a second opinion. Go directly to a speech pathologist. Go to an ENT for voice disorders, swallowing disorders. Go get it checked out because there's no harm in getting it checked. And there is every reason in the world to start intervention earlier. There's so much research that proves that better outcomes are had when it is intervened, what am I trying to say? Intervened earlier, caught earlier, across the board. And there's really nothing harmful that we do. There's nothing that's, it's not a surgery we're putting you through. It's non-invasive.
Sure. So tell me more about that. What would be something that you would do? What if someone were to come to you, what would they expect?
So for a voice disorder, it's a lot of behavioral modifications. We teach you how to use your voice properly, get it out of your throat, put it up into your face, make it very resonant and easy. Just opening things up and slowing things down. A lot of times I do a lot of parent coaching to talk about, hey, with children with stutters or fluency issues, hey, let's calm things down. Let's slow things down. Don't demand an answer, because are you going to do better when you're talking really fast? I need you to answer this right now. Tell me. Or give your child a second to think about it. Relax. Everything comes out a little easier.
Right. Okay. So it's maybe even stuttering. Stuttering could be something that a speech pathologist can address?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Actually, yeah.
And did I read somewhere also that sometimes picky eaters?
Yes.
That might be. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So if your child seems to be, it's not just when you say, oh, my kid's really picky. That's not what we're talking about. It's when your kid only wants to eat brown things, or your kid will only eat things covered in ranch, or they will only eat this brand of chicken nugget because it has a certain type of coating on it because it feels the right way, or there's extreme gagging when we put new foods in front of someone, or you've tried repeatedly, not just you've given it to them 5 times and they don't like it and throw it on the floor. That's not what we're talking about. So that is definitely a reason. Those are sensory issues.
Interesting. So sensory issues are something that perhaps a speech pathologist can look at and work with you.
Absolutely. Somebody in pediatrics. So
Right.
yeah. So when we talk about what I do, that's not quite in my
Right.
wheelhouse, but we have plenty of people who focus on just that.
Right. So tell me about that. So specifically pediatrics, where's a good place, what's a good resource for local moms to look to maybe find a pediatric specialist in speech therapy if they think their kids might have issues that speech pathologists could address?
Absolutely. Ask your pediatrician. They probably have good connections with someone. I would definitely say go to asha.org, I think it is, the American Speech Language Hearing Association. They have a little tab on their website called ProFind, and you can search in, your area and search what you think is maybe going on and find a referral to a speech pathologist that's local.
Okay, and that's ASHA, that's ASHA.org.
Yes.
Okay, and they can give you some local resources and maybe some more information.
Yeah.
What about, as moms are doing that and they're researching that, what are maybe some tips and tricks they can do at home to go ahead and maybe help their kids and work with some of these things?
Yeah, I would say this is just me as a clinician. Intervention starts with the parent when I'm working with kids. So if you are modeling that behavior that you're trying to, no matter what you're trying to focus on, if you're trying to get them to eat different things or talk more, talk differently, expand their vocabulary, or voice disorders, modeling for a kid is going to be huge. If you slow down, like I said, that slow down piece, that's really, really big. And I think especially for those new moms who maybe not new moms, I see as an adult therapist, I see moms a lot for voice disorders on their second baby. Because they have the first baby, they're talking, it's so sweet, they put them to bed, it's not that big a deal. They're tired, they start getting stressed. They have that second baby, that hits you like a Mack truck, right? At least it did me. It's like, wait, I can't nap when he naps, I have to stay up with the other one, Things get a lot more stressful, and then you're going back to work. So a lot of moms, you're trying to juggle, especially during the pandemic. Oh my gosh, you're trying to be a teacher and work and take care of, it's like fire. When you slow down, get that mindfulness piece in, I always recommend sort of mindfulness-based stress reduction techniques, things like that. When you slow down, it's amazing, just the calm waters that sort of surround you and bleed onto everybody else. So I would say slow down. And moms need to warm up their voices every day. There's some really easy techniques that you can do, humming things. There's something called a semi-occluded vocal tract exercise, which is really fancy we're occluding one end of the vocal tract and warming you up. So it could be something just like this. Here, do it with me.
Yeah.
Go.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Can you do the lip?
So it's like the lip movement. It's okay.
Yeah, just like that.
Okay.
Try it.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. And there's all different ways you go, ooh, or you could just hum. But do something like that every morning to warm up your vocal folds and get your throat sort of stretched and ready for the day.
Okay, really well, so speech pathology, especially for kids, is about as much as for the moms, to take care of the mom's voice, because as a mom, you do spend a lot of time talking and, forgive me, yelling.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see how it'd be important for a mom to warm up her voice every morning.
I'll tell
That's
you,
really
one
good.
one weird trick would be to make your quiet voice your mom discipline voice. If you can
Okay.
transition from yelling to doing this, you know you're in trouble when I'm talking like this, and use lots
Okay.
of facial expressions. But that will save your voice, and it kind of gets them like, because they're used to this loud. This is me, 'cause I'm a voice person. Get off the TV. You're loud and frustrated. As soon as I go, what do you think is going on right now? What are you doing? Is this what we're supposed to be doing right now?
Yeah.
Or where should you be? As soon as I bring that, maybe that's not exactly what I'd say, but as soon as you bring your voice back down, it's like an alert,
Right.
an attention thing. It's really interesting to see how it works.
Wow. Yeah, I can see that. Definitely lowering that voice. It saves your voice and it makes them pay attention.
Yep.
I love that. Well, that's some really good information. And I really appreciate you being here to talk to us about it and giving us some of that insight. I really had no idea what a speech pathologist did outside of teaching me with my SHs to keep my tongue behind my teeth. And that is something I still remember to this day. What is something that you love to do here in Collin County that other moms can enjoy?
Yeah, I would recommend Hugs Cafe.
Okay.
You ever heard of Hugs? They're wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. They're a little restaurant. The food is amazing. And the whole restaurant is staffed, run, operated by, I think, 80% of people with disabilities, adults with disabilities. And they
Wow.
train them in the food service. They train them in customer service. And these people, and they pay competitively. I just like that,
Yeah.
personally. But did I say the food is awesome? The
Yeah.
food is awesome. The service is awesome. And I would highly recommend anybody going there for lunch.
So Hugs, that's in Allen?
That's in McKinney.
Oh,
That's on
McKinney,
the square in
McKinney.
McKinney. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll have to check that out. I think that's amazing. Thank you again, Leslie, for being here today. You've given us so much great information. What is your website for people who want to come see it?
Sure. www.ntxvoice.com. So like North Texas Voice.
North Texas Voice. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much.
You've been listening to the Collin County Moms Connection podcast, a production of Real News PR. Your host has been Caroline Herschbach, a writer for CollinCountyMoms.com and creator of CKHCoaching.com. Don't want to miss an upcoming episode? Subscribe to this podcast from wherever you're listening, or head over to CollinCountyMoms.com and subscribe to our newsletter for the latest podcast updates, as well as new content and local resources straight to your inbox.